We have sound.
That's good.
Yes, it is.
What?
That startled look you got where you pulled your hand back.
Oh. I was touching the little hoof.
It's not a hoof, it's a tripod. It's a mini tripod, it's a tripod.
It has hooves. 3 of them.
All right. So, are you ready to go?
I've been sitting here ready.
Well, let's hear that intro then.
Welcome to the Vicis Interimo 30 Minutes to Kill podcast.
You are listening to the Vicis Interimo show, 30 Minutes to Kill. More or less. The incredible podcast with the unpronounceable name.
You are listening to the Vicis Interimo show, 30 Minutes to Kill, more or less. We're a horror movie review podcast featuring horror, suspense, and psychological thrillers. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, and just about anywhere. Just type in Vicis Interimo. I am Lori, and I'm here with my lovely husband and co-host, Michael Mad Saxon Jones.
It sounded like you had to figure out what I was.
Well,
you kept shouting at...
that's not what...
You kept shouting at, what's his name there during the movie that you were his wife, so I'm a little confused myself.
Oh, stop it. I was not.
Yes, you were.
No.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that in a
Anyway,
minute.
our show generally has 4 segments. How come this says it generally has?
Well, because if we ever forget or don't have a crawling chaos...
Oh, I see.
We can...
Well, it almost always has 4 segments.
Almost always.
First, we have our Laid to Rest segment, where we tie up loose ends from previous shows. Then, we do a short review of our featured movie. Today's movie is Bird Box.
Mm-hmm.
Third, we have our Garbage In, Garbage Out segment, where we talk about any other movies, TV shows, or books we may have caught in the last week or so. And then, we wrap it all up with our 4th segment, Crawling Chaos. This is a topic or factoid we've never talked about before on the show. Sometimes silly, sometimes serious, most always chaotic. And that's usually because we don't have something prepared and we're scrambling. But I do have
something. Not entirely true, but
I do have something this week. So.
Something about John Malkovich? Something more about him?
No, because I haven't talked about him before on the show.
You haven't talked about him enough, I guess.
Sheesh.
Anyhow.
All right.
All right.
Whoops, this is mine, and I'll give you those.
All right, awesome. Don't want to get those notes confused.
Maybe we should get right into our Laid to Rest.
Okay. Let's get right into it then. Last episode was 360, and it was Stephanie. So, along with Stephanie, we talked about Darkman and Mr. Mercedes, Pandorium.
You're
No.
pronouncing everything really wonky.
I know. I should slow down.
Mr. Mercedes and Pandora.
And The Predator and Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Wow, we talked about a lot of stuff.
We sure did, but I want to go straight to Darkman. Because you said that was the first place you had saw Liam Neeson, and I say no.
Well, it's the first place then.
You may have taken note of him and really stood out.
That was the first time I was like, who is this actor? And I looked up his name and I remembered it forever.
But surely you had seen him in Krull.
Yes.
Yes.
Because, yes, I saw Krull in the movie theater.
Yes.
I actually wrote the dates down, and I don't have them with me because they're at my computer.
Okay. Krull, and then the other thing was Next of Kin. You might not have seen that with Patrick Swayze and Bill Paxton.
That I did not see.
Another classic, another awesome movie. We should see that. Along the same vein of Roadhouse. Well, not quite. quite, but I mean,
See, that's probably why I didn't see
a must-see guy.
I wasn't like, Patrick Swayze, like all the other girls my age. You weren't like that? You didn't get it, like your heart wasn't a flutter and when you saw him?
No.
He was a nice-looking man.
Was he?
You know what? It's the eyes. I am a sucker for squinty eyes.
I sure know that.
But yeah, back in my time when I was a teenager, back
when Stone Age,
Dirty Dancing and all that stuff. I mean, everybody was so in love with him. I was not.
Okay, well,
Roadhouse was like, So if it's a movie similar
Roadhouse
to that,
is fun. I mean, that's what I mean. Just fun, entertaining. Same thing with Next to Kin. Somebody comes to city. I think Bill Paxton's character is one that gets killed, and so they come to find who killed their cousin, and they're a bunch of rednecks. So you got Liam Neeson playing a redneck uncle, and
yikes,
fun stuff.
Yeah, I could see where back then when it came out, I wouldn't be jumping up and down to go see it.
Yeah.
Usually my friend Melanie dragged me to all the movies that weren't really my bag.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I do.
Do you know how many times she made me watch Top Gun and what was it, Cobra? Is that what it was called with Stallone?
Heck yeah.
We watched Cobra so many times.
Awesome. Crime is a disease and he's the cure. Anyhow, that's what I had. That's what I had to talk about for
Liam Neeson, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. Did you have anything else for that?
I like Liam Neeson.
Yeah?
I still do.
Still do, sure. Mm-hmm. All right.
I guess I have nothing else to wrap up from last
week. Well, then
week.
let's get right to...
Did you decide you liked Stephanie any better after we discussed it? And did I win you over a little more? You
did, a little bit. Yeah. A little bit.
Would you still recommend... Would you recommend it a little stronger to people?
No, I would have to... I am willing to see it again, though, and make up my mind.
I still do think we should watch it one more time.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
How have you been feeling? Have you been sleeping any better?
Oh, rough. Then again, I never slept well before this condition.
Condition? It's called pregnancy. It's okay to say it out loud. Something's happened.
Can you just please drive?
Did you see something?
What's going on?
People describe seeing an entity that takes on the form of your worst fears.
Oh my God.
What are you looking at? What did you see? What is wrong with you? Please stop it!
We can't stay here.
Every contact we have had with the outside has brought us death.
Your kids, they deserve hope.
Every single decision I have made has been for them. Listen to me. We are going on the trip now. It's going to be rough.
Hold on!
If you hear something in the woods, you tell me. If you hear something in the water, you tell me. But under no circumstance are you allowed to take off your blindfold.
You hear that? The creatures.
So let's move on to Bird Box.
Okay.
All right. So Bird Box was 2018, and a little bit of controversy from the standpoint that everybody got to see that, or you explained it to me a little bit better, that it was a Netflix movie and it counted.
No, I don't even know if that's what you were talking about.
That's what I was talking about.
All I remember, because we don't have Netflix, and I actually
we don't stream Netflix.
No, yeah, we're dorks. We get the discs in the mail,
right.
So we do not stream Netflix.
I'm
so far out of the Netflix loop, all the Netflix shows and movies, and we're almost last to see all this stuff. We were last to see Bird Box. Anyway, all I knew about it was just reading some little blurb a couple of days after it was released, or dropped.
Yes.
You have to say it right. You have to get the lingo.
Uh-huh.
A couple days after that, Netflix had gone on record saying, they put out their, what do you call it? Their view, how many views it got,
right.
Or whatever. They put out their numbers, and it was like, this was the top movie ever that ever existed in the history of all ways. So many millions and millions and millions of people watched it. It was the most successful. Okay, so anyway, they went on and on about that, and then it was something weird where, like, if you had Netflix and you logged on, like, it just started automatically for a lot of people.
Right.
Or, so, like, it was kind of forced on people.
Right.
I don't know anything about, I don't know what I'm talking about. That was just what I heard people discussing online.
Okay.
That it was, and also, if you went onto Netflix that day and it said, here's this cool new movie, it just came out, anyone who clicked on it and watched 30 seconds of it and shut it off, that counted as a view.
I gotcha.
So people, whoever people are, were like, no, it's not as successful as you say, Netflix. Get over yourself.
All right, well.
If that's what you're talking about.
That's what I was talking about. Let's talk about.
The only other than the second thing I started hearing about it was that a whole bunch of people were doing dumb YouTube stunts with blindfolds on and practically killing themselves. So those were the only two things I knew about this movie when we sat down to watch it last night.
Okay.
Like, literally, I didn't hear anyone talk about it.
You've seen a ton of memes by now. Online, yeah?
Not really.
Well, you've seen them. Doesn't mean you knew or understood or got the jokes.
I maybe saw a couple. I didn't see a lot about it online.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I guess I saw more. I tried to avoid anything that was spoilers.
This year, I'm doing a lot less Facebook and scrolling things and looking at movie pages, and I'm doing a lot less of that. But yeah, I literally knew nothing about it. I knew Sandra Bullock was in it. I knew there was some reason everybody had to walk around in blindfolds. And I knew it was called Bird Box, and I didn't know why. I didn't know what was going on. And that actually made it scary. So I had very high expectations.
Oh. Okay.
And I knew my husband was in it.
Oh. See? I told you.
My number one husband.
So
that was all I knew.
So enough about that. All right, so here's the deal. What is the movie we're talking about? Bird Box. If you're under a rock and you haven't already heard about this or already seen it yourself.
I felt like I was under a rock, to be honest.
5 years after an ominous unseen presence drives most of society to suicide, a mother and her 2 children make a desperate bid to reach safety.
Okay.
Okay, short, sweet,
That's
succinct.
interesting because it starts like today. I mean, it's not 5 years. I mean, it kind of it shows you.
You've got split timelines.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that'll come up later on in the lead.
I mean, I guess that is
garbage
the main.
in, garbage
I guess
out.
the main part of the story is the 5 years later part. Yeah,
yes, that is the. Then you get a flashback as to what has happened in the world.
I guess it didn't have to say that. Could have just said a mother. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
It
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. All right. Well, so tell me about this movie.
I've already talked so much this episode. It's your turn.
Okay.
People are sick of hearing my voice.
I was happy to see Sandra Bullock in a forceful role. I like her as an actress. Do you care for her?
I never did.
Never did. Okay.
But
I always have. But to me, she was always the girl next door type of thing. And so to see her, I want to say for me, this was a little bit against type. from what I'm used to seeing her in.
Yeah.
She played a forceful mother that didn't necessarily want to be a mother.
Yeah.
I won't get too deep into that.
That, by the way, is what the movie is about. Forget the bird box and the whatever's going on outside. This was very much a relationship and motherhood movie.
Okay.
The same way that relationship and fatherhood movie was for the Train to Busan.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, I could see that.
Remember how that annoyed me?
Yes,
It was like, awesome zombie movie, infection movie, scary. And then it was like, wait, what's with all the relationship and touchy-feely stuff? And then it just was sad. And then I was just sad.
So, with Bird Box...
This was different. I mean, this was not like that.
Okay. Horror movie? Enough horror elements in there? Okay.
I mean, on the surface, sure. It was a relationship and motherhood movie put in the world of horror, of something horrible that's happening.
Yeah. Again, though, much like last movie that we discussed, you don't get a clear description of what's going on. You just are set against this horrible backdrop.
That's the new way.
So, I'm going all around the place and not talking about this movie, but I can't help it. There was an essay, a video essay that I posted by Wisecrack, I think, about how come there are so many good horror movies. And I'm not saying this is a good one, a bad one, but I say it's a very rich time for horror movies. And I think we've seen a lot of good ones.
A certain kind of horror movie.
Well, not just that. No, I'm saying horror in general. I just think that, like, the last
I
decade,
thought you meant, like, because general public-wise, you know, horror fans were always a very small group, but horror is very big right now. The general public is finally interested in horror, but it's a very specific kind of horror. It has to be done a certain way.
Okay.
That's what I think, anyway.
That's what you think. Okay, what I'm
slasher flicks and just straight up monster, scary, gory stuff. You know, the general public would say, "Oh no, I don't care for horror." But something like this, it's like horror for regular people.
Okay.
I don't know.
At any rate, the video essay that I was talking about and stuff, though, just talks a little bit about the fact that why horror is so popular right now, or why we have such a good variety of horror films.
Yeah.
But Bird Box is what we're supposed to be talking about.
So why is that?
I'll let you watch the essay. I'll include it in the show notes. Anyhow.
Where can people find our show notes?
They can find them on Podomatic.
Podomatic.
So...
maybe you could pop the link up on our group page, too.
Yes, I can do that.
Come join our Facebook group.
The movie.
Okay.
All right. We've established by now this has John Malkovich in it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sandra Bullock, fine, strong actress, actor.
This was probably my favorite thing I've seen her in. But I was never a fan.
Okay. Great supporting cast. All of this was done well. Yeah. I felt the tension. I felt...
heck yeah.
Again, it was another one of those movies where the first 10 minutes, the first few scenes or whatever, it's kind of like, what have I got myself into?
Really?
And it does a great job of ratcheting up the excitement.
Oh, man. When the stuff hits the fan, that was the... like, I actually had that, like, tight feeling in my chest, which movies don't do that to me anymore. But it was like, it was genuinely frightening. Okay. Just when that kind, because I have dreams like that, where you're just out somewhere and it's a normal day, and then something is happening and you have no idea what it is and people are panicking. That's like that's a real fear, obviously, in my life. But that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Okay.
Because that's what you're looking for in a horror movie, right? You want a little bit of heart-pounding moment.
Something that's going to affect you, for sure.
Yes.
So as far as that goes, the opening scene of Dawn of the Dead, the 2003, 2004 version of it, same or similar thing, where you start out and things just get going crazier and crazier.
It's just another day and everything's fine, and then someone starts acting a little funny, and then everybody starts
everything
acting
hits the
funny
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was a really scary beginning to a movie.
Yeah.
I remember just it was like being hit in the face.
Yes.
It's like, what is happening here?
So
life's fine. Now it's not. Figure it out. And you've got whatever you're wearing, whatever you're carrying in your hands. Survive. Okay, go.
Do we talk? So, is this a movie you would recommend? I'm going to jump to the part where we give it a rating. What would you give this as a rating?
I would probably give it a 4.
I would give it a 4.
I really liked it.
I would give it a 4, and I would say
my husband was in it.
I would say that it's one of those.
When's he going to come take me away from all of this?
I don't know. I'm going to call him right now. He can come get you.
Okay.
So anyhow, it's one of the movies though that if you, arguably it was fun to play along with. I don't want to talk too much about the monsters or the creatures or the event or the happening. I mean, I think there's things to say about it. I could say something Lovecraftian. I could say something. I could liken it to some other things, but I don't want to spoil that. I want that. If you haven't seen this yet, I do think it's worth watching. I do think it's fun.
Kind of went together. Like it would be fun to do a double feature, do this and A Quiet Place. Or and throw Stephanie in there with it.
When you started to say Stephanie, I actually thought you were going to say The Stuff.
The Stuff.
You remember well, sure, because you have, you have hearing.
The Stuff.
You have visual. The Stuff was the yogurt. Do you remember that from the 80s? Where it was like the Blob, but if you ate it, you turn. So you got all your senses represented. You've got
what is
hearing,
this? 5 Greyballs.
Oh, right. Anyhow,
the 5 senses. You've guessed the 5 Greyballs. Oh dear.
My gosh! I'm sorry. We've lost complete control of this episode.
I'm thinking of just those similar feelings of being stuck in one place, something's going on outside, you have to live very carefully.
Yeah.
And us as viewers, we don't really know what these people are dealing with.
Right.
In some of these you find out, of course, in Quiet Place you find out.
Right.
But
anyhow, so
yes, I would recommend it, and it's a super strong 4.
Strong 4.
By the way, my husband is John Malkovich, in case anybody's wondering.
I don't think
because I'm thinking of the other men in the movie, and it's like I don't want there to be any confusion. John Malkovich is my husband. He just doesn't know it yet.
Oh my gosh! If I could, I'd find an audio clip of him asking, "Where is my wife?" And it would have been perfect.
Oh my god!
It would have been perfect. You just sitting here as you were next to me, going, "I'm right here. I'm right here." I'm like, "What the hell is she talking?" Oh my god! Yeah, all right. Yeah,
I'd forgotten about that.
You don't have to.
When you said I was yelling at the movie and stuff that he was my husband, I'm like, what are you even talking about?
That's what I'm talking.
But yeah, he was looking for his wife, and I was right here.
Oh my god!
You know what? It's just the silliest thing. I fell in love with him the same year I fell in love with you when I was 19 years old.
It's ridiculous.
You were like my 2 wonderful
Well, luckily
men.
I was here.
Yeah, you were actually here in body. He's just always been here in spirit.
Oh. Anyhow, I'm sure people they haven't tuned out already. They probably we've covered this enough. All right.
This has gone nutty.
Moving on to.
Well, but all right, Bird Box. Is there anything? I feel like we hardly talked about the movie. Is there anything else you want to say? I mean, I don't want to. Of course, we don't want to give anything away for anyone who has not seen it. Were you happy with what it was about, with the story and where it went and how it ended?
I was, because all along the whole journey and stuff, it's to me about the new normal. We talked about that before. We've talked about that with things like iVampire and things like when the world has changed so so fundamentally, completely changed that like suddenly arguably the people you're counting on as the heroes, and so on, are outnumbered, and they are.
Did you mean iLegend?
iLegend. What did I just say?
iVampire. Well, there's everything these days. iZombie, Frankenstein.
Right. I'm Legend.
But yes, sometimes you as a regular human being in a crazy world, you do become the minority,
right.
And there is
something else is the new normal at this point. So
yeah, I mean, this one was kind of the ending and the there was some it did get very fluffy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I was not expecting that.
Okay.
I don't want to. We won't say any more than that because now that was already a giant spoiler.
Yeah.
But you never know what direction is this going to go. Are we going to live happily ever after, or are we all going to be dead?
Right.
Because there was a big period of time not too long ago where horror movies, he dies, she dies, everybody dies.
Right.
The end. Good night. Go home and have a nice night now that you're depressed. I feel like a lot of movies are getting away from that now.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah,
the direction this went, I felt very much like, oh yeah, this has nothing to do with, I mean, this isn't a horror. That's not what it's about.
Okay. I'm more confused than when you started talking, but anyhow.
Okay.
Garbage in, garbage out.
It makes perfect sense in my mind.
Okay.
You know what? John would understand.
Oh, jeez. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
What did you think about that?
It was good.
It was good. You didn't say I loved it.
No, it was really good, though.
So I loved it.
Good.
But I love the music.
I do, too.
But I do understand because my boss, who's also a Queen fan,
yes,
he summed it up best for me by saying it didn't have enough character development for him.
It certainly did not.
So it just seemed like...
Oh, it flew right along. It was just a highlight movie. It was Cliff Notes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. Your boss is right. This time.
So anyhow, that's okay. Nobody at work listens to this.
Oh, dear.
So
this will be the one time.
At any rate, so
yeah, it was. You know what? I feel again like we were the last ones to see it, and it was talked up so much, up for Best Picture. Everyone kept telling me
we love Rami Malek.
He was great. Yeah, he won Best Actor, right? For Best Lead Actor, which he totally deserves it. Was he tall enough to play Freddie? No, but that's okay. But yeah, it wasn't as awesomely great as everybody told me it was.
Okay.
But I mean, it was really good though. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
But it wasn't, everyone was like, oh my God, you haven't seen it yet? You're gonna love it. It is so great. Like that was the build up to it for you? Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see this thing.
Okay. So fair enough.
It was really good.
Okay. Here's something else that we watched. And for me, it is quite simply the best thing I have seen on television in recent memory. I'm not going to say the best thing I've ever seen on TV.
Right.
But it was the best thing I have seen in a very, very long time.
Yes.
Season 3 of True Detective.
Yes.
That was flippin' awesome.
And I still say Season 1 was just as excellent, and you need to go back and watch Season 1. I think you would enjoy it.
Maybe.
I want to say just as much. Maybe not. Maybe this one hit something.
Well, it
for
did.
you.
It did for me, and there's a couple of reasons and stuff. This had to do with racial tensions. Just a lot. It had to deal with friendships and relationships. In true detective fashion. It's not so much about the crime necessarily being committed what's happening or what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's about the relationships of the people.
Yes.
And this one just spoke volumes to me.
It is so stinking good.
Now, having said that, it's tough keeping track of 4 timelines in your head.
Well, the fourth timeline they added just at the end.
Well, yeah, but it...
you had to just watch their hairdos.
I mean, there's a lot more that I could go on about this one, but I am really... It's the best TV that I've seen in a long time. That was what most of our week was spent watching that, just binge watching it, because it was so good.
I was super excited too, because that first one just knocked my socks off, and then the second one I really enjoyed.
We enjoyed
a lot
also, yeah.
This one was so beyond great.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're so good.
All right.
Oh, see, that's something to get excited about.
Okay. There you go.
Bring on season 4. I'm ready.
Okay.
It might take them a while to film it, though, first.
Yes, that's right. Anything else that you want to talk about in this before we get to your Crawling Chaos?
I don't think so.
I've been watching slowly Rock and Roll, but nobody wants to share that experience with me.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Not a Ralph Bakshi thing for you? No?
It's so ugly, I can't look at it.
Oh my God. All right. Maybe I should download Wizards. Maybe we should watch that instead.
I don't know.
What about...
I've been playing Zelda Twilight Princess.
Okay.
Again. Yeah, I'm so boring.
Do we talk any... Well, so I've mentioned, if you're listening to the 7 Days of Headshots and stuff, you hear me talking about dyslexia and how that's going to come up for a topic and stuff. I am... and only if you're a long-time listener and you've really paid attention, you remember at some point we were going to do Das Boot.
Yep.
Well, I now have a copy of both the book and the movie. I have to read the book first. It's 590 some odd pages.
Yeah, have fun with that.
So we're going to do a little bit of a video segment. I'd like to expand that a little bit just because I don't think enough people know what dyslexia is.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a quick fix that people use a lot of times, and you actually mentioned this during our headshot thing.
It's a neurological disorder.
That people... just say that if they spelled something wrong or they said something backwards, oh, I'm having dyslexia or whatever. But it's a lot more to it than that. So I've got some fascinating facts, I think, and I'd like to share those. This is obviously near and dear to my heart. So where was I going with all that? I don't know. I think we were going on to your Crawling Chaos.
Musical interlude. You could probably hear my chair in the background.
Yeah. You sound like Dr. Nefario.
Oh my gosh. Well, it is a lift chair.
Yes.
Okay, so this was kind of by accident. But this week's Crawling Chaos actually has to do with birds.
That's by accident, too. Okay.
That's by accident. I knew I'd be doing this one this week. It's an interesting nature story.
Yeah.
Factoid. This was brought to us by our friend Slug.
Yeah, Slug.
Thank you, Slug.
Yeah.
He found this and he thought it was interesting and he passed it along to us because he's right. It's got Crawling Chaos written all over it.
Indeed.
This is about a tree which kills birds.
Yikes.
Seemingly for no reason.
Okay.
Now, it's a little bit of nature gone awry. I couldn't find the original article that he gave to me. Mm-hmm. So I did a little research and I found one that had a lot of science-y stuff in there.
Okay. Because
these trees, I don't have it here in front of me. They were like in the 1990s. Some researchers heard about them.
Right.
And they're from the, let me read this. Okay. It says, it's found in the tropical waters of the Indian Pacific Oceans. Mm-hmm. So they're on these islands. And so researchers went out to check them out because they heard that birds land in these trees and the trees produce a very sticky seed pod.
Right.
The birds land. These seed pods stick all over them, like a lot of them, not just one or two.
Right.
I saw pictures. It was horrible. There weren't any on this particular link.
Daddy Sad Heads?
But, yes, totally Daddy Sad Heads.
Sorry,
oh my gosh,
that's
terrible.
an Adventure Time reference.
Yeah, but worse because the birds just get weighted down and they're sticky and they can't fly.
That's horrible.
And they die. Oh. So all around the foot of these trees are all these dead birds. Really quick, it says it's not unusual for plants to stick, prick, or entangle their seeds into some hapless animal that steps too close in search of a meal or a place to rest. But one genus of tree found in the tropical waters of the Indian and Pacific Oceans has taken this method of distributing its seeds a little too far, killing many of the birds that land in its branches by weighing them down and preventing them from flying away. It's called the Pisonia tree. Mm-hmm. And it says what sets it apart from other trees is that the seeds pile up rather quickly. So if a bird falls or lands among the pods on the ground, they're done.
Ew.
They're not going to get out of it.
Creepy.
So most trees would either have not evolved to actually kill the birds because that's counterproductive. How is the bird going to fly off and distribute your seeds if it's all weighed down and it croaks right there? So this was a really interesting article. Researchers went and thought, okay, well, maybe what it's doing is killing the birds and then all the carcasses are laying around the ground. Maybe they're fertilizing the tree.
Oh.
But the dead birds were not releasing enough nutrients and things where they were like, no, that can't be it.
Okay.
Bird guano, poop, is a much better fertilizer. Well, it's killing the birds. The birds aren't coming and landing and pooping and fertilizing the tree. The birds are croaking. So they're like, what is with this tree? And they can't figure it out.
That is creepy and weird.
Yes.
A crawling chaos indeed.
They did figure out that what it takes for those seeds to germinate is salt water.
Uh-huh.
So the tree evolved to have sticky pods that would stick to a water bird. The water bird would go into the sea, and the salt water makes the seed germinate.
Uh-huh.
But what's made the tree go nuts with the pods and produce so many that the birds are just getting stuck and dying, they just finally shrugged and said, well, you know what, it's evolution, like an evolutionary mistake.
Huh.
And if that's a fact, the seed pods are not getting distributed, the tree will die out.
It will die out,
and that's how evolution works. So good riddance, you stupid tree. I don't like anything that kills animals
for no reason.
Zero reasons.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that went a little long, sorry.
On that note, I think we killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as always, thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry I talked so much in this episode.
That's what you get paid for. You can always get in touch with us by contacting me directly at Madsaxon at yahoo.com. That's MADSAXXON at yahoo.com. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook. You can just put Vicis Interimo into your search engine and see what you pull up, because you'll find us on Podpickle, Blueberry, Stitchers, Podomatic. What?
I was going to say that.
Oh.
We're on Podpickle.
Just...
And Blueberry.
All right. At any rate.
Are you sure we're still on there?
I am.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening.